What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 3v3 with Sorgol on his Enhancement Shaman and Plum on his Devastation Evoker. We're running some more of this kind of off-meta comp. It's pretty fun. I will say that once we get to like a decent MMR, we usually go on a losing streak because we just can't beat any of the really good meta comps like Ret Warrior and stuff like that, but we had a lot of fun matches. This one was pretty interesting. The Feral Affliction works kind of similar to Shadowplay, where they just try and get bleeds up and dots up and do a bunch of damage to everybody all at once. You can kind of see everybody getting chunked here. I do go ahead and burn Lay on Hands, and you can see the Disc Priest was trying to kind of push in there for a second, and he pulls back. We're mainly focused on hitting the Feral in this one. We actually give him the precog on the clone, which was a little unfortunate, but then you see Sorgol shear him there. I'm just trying to stay out of line of sight. The ultimate penitence does come out, and you can see Plum kind of run over here because we don't want to get caught in that. I do go ahead and use a Blessing of Protection. You can see everybody is just getting chunked all at once. I burn my trinket there on that clone, and I do have Sorgol sacked, but I get Holy Locked because I didn't see the Warlock actually over there. So he gets really, really low, but they both start doing off healing here, and you can see him get to like that 1%, and I finally pick him up. I do have Bubble available, which I may need to go ahead and use, and I do go ahead and use Bubble. So I dispel Sorgol while I'm in the bubble, and we're actually kind of starting to stabilize, and we're almost even on mana. This clone was super DR'd, so I'm not worried about it. I get my Tears Deliverance off, and again, I am starting to kind of stabilize here. I'm going to go ahead and Hodge the Feral. Unfortunately, he does get pulled over there and dispelled, and it looks like the Priest is going to go ahead and use Dome here. I'm not sure if they have, but I think they have one major cooldown left as far as like a defensive goes. I am casting Denounce on the Feral, and we're getting a bunch of pressure on this Feral. Sorgol does go ahead and use his wall. I go ahead and use Hand of Sacrifice, and you can see I'm just getting chunked over here. So I'm going to run behind the pillar. My Hand of Sacrifice is just doing like major damage. We want to just LOS for a second. And again, we're almost like neck and neck on mana here. I do have Daybreak available. I probably need to go ahead and use that, especially since I just cast Divine Toll. But looks like oh, there we go. I went ahead and used it. We are getting some pretty big damage on the Feral again. There's the other Pain Suppression, so that's really their last major defensive cooldown, but we are also out of cooldowns now. Have no Blessing of Protection, no Lay on Hands. And so if on their next go, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble, which looks like it's coming up right now. So I think Plum gets the double stun there with the Oppressive Roar, so I'm going to run in and go for the Hodge. He does Greater Fate it, so that's unfortunate, but I need to move away so I don't get feared. So I couldn't go in for the blind because I would have just instantly gotten feared. So I need to cast Tears Deliverance behind the pillar here, so I'm going to cast that. It looks like the Feral did get his clone off because of that buff. We get the Hex, and again, we're almost even on mana. You can see me kind of casting Denounce. He uses his Shadow Meld there on the Denounce, and it looks like we're getting super close. I think Plum locked him there. We have grounding down, so we are going to ground a lot of stuff here, and we're getting dangerously low on mana at this point. I'm not sure if they have Swap left. Oh, there it is. Swap just comes out, so they are officially out of everything at this point. I can either decide to go for a drink here, or we just get the kill. So we're still kind of in danger, because again, I mean, I'm low on mana. The Priest is low on mana too, so we just gotta make sure he doesn't drink. As long as I can like stabilize and pick us up here, we'll be fine. I'm gonna cast Hand of Divinity, and it looks like we are going to take them down. So kind of a crazy first game, especially at only 2k MMR. We did get our MMR up to 2200, and that's when we were facing a lot more of the meta comps at around 2200. And beyond that, like I said, it was just really tough to get any wins beyond 2200 MMR, just because this comp it doesn't deal well with the meta comps. So I do get Hodged here, and this is against a Demon Hunter and a Ret Paladin and a Resto Shaman, so we probably won't be able to win on mana, and they can go for me with this comp. I'm definitely a kill target. Really, any one of us is a kill target for this comp. I think Plum is probably the worst that they could hit, and it looks like they are going for him, and you can see just how much pressure we're getting when they're focusing on Plum. He does get the sleep. I'm going to blind off right there. I do get hodged, and they are just focusing on Plum. Again, I think that's the worst target they could go for. Really just focusing Sorgol or going for me, which I do, if I remember correctly, I think they go for me later in the match. But I do have to pump out a lot of heals when they go for Plum. I just don't think they can kill him until I go I do use a Blessing of Protection there, which I don't know, I probably could have held it. Might have been better to save it for later, but they can purge it off because the Demon Hunter has a way to get it off and the Resto Shaman has a way to get it off. So I don't know, sometimes it's not good to hold it versus comps like this. Looks like they do have their grounding down. I'm kind of trying to get Plum to kite this way, and he does kite this way. He's doing a good job kind of just pulling them into really awkward positions. And they realize that, and they're going to go back behind the pillar there. It looks like Sorgol's kind of grouping them all up, and then Plum's kind of moving over here. I was going to try and go for a drink so we don't lose on mana, and then they just swap to me. So I really need to swap Beacon over. But I do just go ahead and burn Bubble, which honestly I didn't think that they would swap back to me after that, but I don't know. I think, yeah, see, they're really wanting to. I do get banished here. We get the Paladin super low, and we get his bubble as well. So we both kind of traded bubbles here. I do get feared. They are going to swap to me, so I really need to swap Beacon to myself. There we go. So I swapped the mini Beacon to myself, which is fine too. And they are just going to chase me down, so I'm trying to pull them again into awkward positions, and then Plum is going to rescue me, get me away from them. They're going to stun me, so I should be pretty much DR'd on stun. So right here I get my charger reset by Plum. We do get Link, and again I'm just trying to move into a position where I pulled them to an awkward position, but then they swapped to Sorgol, which is kind of what I was afraid of. That's why I kind of paused there. It looks like grounding is down. I do hodge the Pally, and we get him super low, but we don't take him down. He get down to like 1%. And we don't actually have all our gear yet. Or I do, but I don't think Plum had all his gear at the time of these matches. I think he does now, but you know, it can make a difference when someone gets to like 1%. So he does kick me at the last second, which is super unfortunate because Tears Deliverance is really important. I go ahead and try and blind them since they're all grouped up, and they get me in the middle of that totem. I really probably should have spun around and tried to kill it with Crusader Strike, but I was hoping one of them would. He resets his cap totem. I do juke there and get precog so I can cast Tears Deliverance, and I can use one of my flash procs, and I'm going to use my wall here, and I don't want to necessarily line at this point because I don't want them to lose any of their pressure, but I'm trying to kind of pull them away. Plum does use his rescue here, which is huge. The Shaman is out of mana. I'm out of mana as well. You can see all my buttons are pretty much grayed out. And I don't have an infusion proc, so I'm just trying to stand behind the pillar here. I do trinket a little bit late there. Should have just trinketed immediately, because again, and there is the cage from Sorgol, so he cages them away from me. Netherwalk does come out. Shaman's completely I'm pretty much completely and I'm going to cast Hand of Divinity, so I can pick him up, and it looks like we do take him down. So another kind of crazy match there where they were able to swap and connect to me. This next one is a Devastation Evoker and a Warrior. This one was kind of funny. So we swapped comps to Fire Mage Boomkin at this point because, again, we just weren't really winning that much with the other comp. When we got up to a certain MMR, it was we just kind of yo-yoed. We would get up there and then we would lose. So we were like, all right, well, we'll just play a different comp. It's almost the same MMR, so we'll play this. Warrior charges in, and he just basically LOSs his priest and gets taken down in the opener. So that one was kind of a funny first game for swapping comps. The next one is against a Windwalker and an Affliction Warlock with what appears to be a Disc Priest. So he does use his Panda Racial into the Fear. I always think that's funny when the Panda Racial does come out. It can be so good in some scenarios. It's just really funny. It looks like they go ahead and Karma Plum on his Boomkin, and I just go ahead and bop it because we have so much pressure in the opener, and it looked like we almost took him down there, but he does live. It looked like at 1%. He might be a Night Elf, so he may have Shadow Melded. Looks like Plum gets precog. Again, we just have so much spread pressure with this comp. It's kind of crazy. So I do get end-capped here. He's trying to run into fear. He misses the fear on me, but he does get the fear on them. And with an Affliction Warlock, I can't really dispel, so I'm going to Hodge. We overlap with the clone. But again, we have so much pressure right now. It looks like the monk used dampen, and we do go ahead and hope you guys enjoyed these games. Let me know what you guys have been running. I know a lot of people have been running Shadowplay. Seems to be the top Holy Paladin comp, and hope you guys enjoyed these. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, all that jazz helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.